When a recording studio has speakers that are built into the front wall instead of sitting on speaker stands, there's a very good reason for that, and it's not just for looks. It turns out when you mount a speaker that way, where the front face is kind of flush with the wall surface, you dramatically improve the sound of that speaker in about half a dozen different ways. The first of which is your low-end performance radically improves because you become way more efficient at low frequencies. And here's why that happens. So a typical real-world speaker will send high frequencies directly out at the listener, almost like a beam, very directional, very focused. But the lower we get in frequency, the more it wants to start throwing energy kind of in every direction at once. And at very low frequencies, we're sending just as much energy out behind the speaker as we are toward the listener. Now, the frequency at which this starts to happen is mostly determined by the physical size of the front face of the speaker cabinet, or the baffle. They call this baffle step response. So in a really small, physically small near field, you might start to go omnidirectional below 500 or 600 hertz maybe. But if you flush mount a speaker in a wall, effectively the entire wall starts to behave like a giant baffle. So we get really efficient energy transfer down to very low frequencies. Now, another big disadvantage of the stand-mounted speaker that's throwing all this low-end energy behind itself is something called boundary interference response. All this means is sound is coming out of the back of the speaker, reflecting off the wall behind, coming back and then interacting with the sound that's coming directly out of the speaker. So we get these interactions where some frequencies get boosted, some frequencies get phase canceled, so we get these dips, and it just generally creates this more uneven response overall. If we flush mount the speaker with the boundary, this leaves the equation completely, which is a huge advantage. Another big advantage of this low-end efficiency we've gained is the amps don't have to work as hard for a given sound pressure level, for a given loudness. So that's less distortion. And more importantly, the speaker cones don't have to move as far for a given loudness level. Now, a speaker cone becomes much more nonlinear the further you're asking it to move. So that really contributes to the perception of lower distortion, greater clarity and punch, essentially, subjectively. Since we're flush mounted, we also get less edge diffraction. Edge diffraction is just what happens when sound hits an obstacle and has to either get scattered by it or bend around it. So it's just more acoustic interference we avoid, and finally, since our geometry is completely set and rigid, we can be really careful to get our toe in perfect, our speaker listening height perfect, and then it's set there and it never moves. Great for imaging. So a lot of advantages.